Adventure and Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Wake up, America! It's time for the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY.com, West Palm Beach's #1 internet radio station. Here's your host, the Pipeman.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman W4CY Radio, and excited about our next guest who has some killer new music for a very good reason, especially during this month, but I think every month matters, not just 1 month. So let's welcome to the show Sammy Lee from Red Rain. How are you?
I'm fine, Nate. Thanks for having me.
Hey, my pleasure. So yeah, what I was referring to is you got the second single out, Here I Am, from the forthcoming album, Don't Look Back. That'll be due out October 27th through DEKO Entertainment. But this song here, I think, hits home for a lot of people, especially in 2024, because, you know, here we are in May, Mental Health Awareness Month, and this song fits right in with that theme.
It certainly does. Thank you. Yeah. Basically, when the song was written, it was it was written over the period of COVID, obviously, when everybody was, sort of having some breakdown as far as, not socializing and being isolated. And there's also other people who have mental sort of mental issues or disabilities that, that they think the only way out is the one way out, which I don't like to say the word. And that's just not true. We feel like there's if somebody would just take time to reach out to their friend or reach out to somebody and just talk. And of course, I'm not in that space, so I've never been to that level. But we would hope that somebody would just reach out and not take the unfortunate path that unfortunately a lot of people take.
Yeah. And unfortunately, not only reach out, but other people listen and pay attention, because sometimes when people are reaching out, it's not that in your face, you have to really be paying attention. And some people just, it doesn't even cross their mind. It's not even a matter of, they're not caring. They're not picking up the clues.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, and again, luckily for me personally, I don't think I've ever fallen to that depth mentally, so I don't know when somebody falls into a sort of a downward spiral. I'm not good at reading clues either. So, you don't want to put it on them and say, hey, it's up to you to reach out. But if somebody could realize that there are people who care about them and understand that they care about them and be willing to help, because again, can't always read the clues. That's what the song's about. So that's why it says, here I am, just look over your shoulder and here I am.
Exactly. And a lot of people that are in that dark spot, they don't realize the here I am type of thing. They
exactly.
They think they're all alone in the world, and nobody would understand. And, then there's the other side of it is that, and you probably go through it, we all go through it, where people look at our lives, whether it be on social media or what we present to people, and they think that's representative of everything. So they think everything's okay because somebody doesn't wear their heart on their sleeve or share everything or puts on a good game face, and especially in music. Okay. So we've lost a lot of great musicians. Even recently, it's been a big thing. And people look at them like, oh, what a great life they have. Look at their life. They're living a dream life. And sometimes that dream is a nightmare.
Sure. I have a feeling, and again, not personally speaking, but, I guess sometimes people feel trapped, or they feel that there's no way out. And that's sad to me. It just really is, because, everybody in this world is important. I don't care what walk of life you are. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody has a point of view. Everybody has likes, dislikes, and also, and believe it or not, some people don't feel like they're liked or they're in this crowd or that crowd, but they are. And I just hope and wish that people who have fallen again to those depths would just, I don't want to put it on them, but if they could just find a way to reach out and say, hey, I'm feeling this way. I feel like, and again, this is all personal because I'm not there, but I feel like there would be not one, not two, but 10 people who would be willing to help or be there to listen or be there to do it. So that's what the song's based on. And it's a great song. Of course, I'm going to say that, but I think if people really listen to it, I think they'll like it and they get the message.
And that's the beautiful thing about your song too, is that for those people, which is a lot of them that think nobody's there for them, this is sending them a message, hopefully, that those people are for them, and that, here I am,
Absolutely.
and letting people know that. What prompted you to begin with to write a song like this? Because it's a very deep song. It's a great song, but it's a very deep song. And especially, a lot of times people write stuff like this because of their own experiences. But as you've said a couple times in the interview here, like, it's not that you're there, but the good thing is that you understand the people that are.
Well, so first of all, let me address that. I don't know if I understand the people that are at that depth.
Right.
I think when you're, it's always, are you inside looking outside or outside looking inside? Mm. I would say that, and I think I speak for my bandmates. We are on the outside looking in to trying to say, hey, come on, just reach out to somebody. I know it's not that easy. Trust me. That I didn't know. As far as writing the song, I don't do any of the writing. So I do a lot more of the business aspects. Bubba McMichael, who's the lead singer and guitar player, does all the lyrics and does a lot of the writing as far as coming into rehearsal and saying, hey, I've got this idea. And then the other two guys will jump in and really that mix will come into how the song goes. And I'll throw in something here or there. I'm not very creative on that aspect. I mean, I'm creative enough to add the drum parts and figure what I like and what fits. But I think what it was is a lot of the album, if you listen to it, it's basically written over the period of COVID. And I think Bubba was feeling certain things for not only himself, but for other people. And again, we'll probably touch on this, but we also have a song on the album called Bury Me Up to My Eyes. That song is also COVID driven. He wrote that song now that COVID was out and everybody was wearing masks. It's now looking through life through the mask. Remember, we never had to wear masks. So I think in that time period where it was a dark time period for everybody, not just people who were already in that state of mind, but everybody was isolated and we couldn't go out and we couldn't do the things we want to do, and so a lot of that has come from his experience of just being, I think, isolated, and there's a lot of darkness that was in that period, and there was very little, but some good does come from some bad things as well. The good for us, and when I say good, obviously it's not good, but the good for us was it did let us slow down to actually write a full-length album.
It's so funny you should say that, because I've been saying in so many interviews since COVID, including just one yesterday, is that if you're going to pull the one positive out of COVID, especially for an artist specifically, is artists have been on such a hamster wheel for so long that they really can't sit down and write an album. They can't get creative. They got deadlines that, like, let's just put this out because we got to get it done, opposed to really like putting out what you really want as the artist. And I think it gave artists a chance to jump off that hamster wheel and get creative again, something that I think a lot of them forgot what that was even like. And now they've changed their lifestyle as a musician, in their career, to go back to what they used to do, that they forgot that's what they used to do. And that creates a great album like this one.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I think that is true. I mean, like my favorite bands that I listened to younger, I would read, they'd be on tour for 8-9 months. They'd be writing on the road.
Yeah.
So, and we just, we weren't constantly on the road, so we didn't get a chance to write, but we would go do 2 or 3 shows. We'd come back home, and then it's like, oh, you know what? We have another one in a month. Well, what we do is we actually rehearse our set for at least 3 to 4 weeks prior to our show. So that didn't give you a chance to write, And so, yeah, it did. Like, and I've said this in other interviews, there is no good that came out of COVID. Let's just be honest. It was nasty. It's
right.
But if you can find that one little weed that you call a flower,
right.
in the desert, that was it. That time did slow down enough to be able at least for a rock band to sit down and write an album.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, to me, music's some of the best therapy there is, both for the artist and the listener. And that was what was taken away from us in COVID. I think, maybe they should have kept live music, because I think that's why we have more problems with mental anguish and depression and suicide and anger and frustration now because of that couple years without live music. Of course, there's other factors, but I think live music is our escape. So if you don't have that escape, then what? Then you're stuck in your own thoughts that, there is no escape from, unfortunately, at that point in time.
Right. I agree. I agree with you. Luckily for me, though, I just throw on, the music I like, and I would just crank it up, and, you find a way to keep yourself busy. I through COVID, I still worked because in my job, I was able to isolate everybody else. And so I was able to come to work, and in the building I'm in, the building that my company's in, is where we rehearse. So I was still able to come in and sort of bang out some drums and get some frustration out that way. But
right.
After a while, it does get a little lonely when you're just playing drums by yourself day after day. But yeah, you're right. I think that music and just getting together and festivals, yeah, it's just it put people in a completely different mental aspect than what we're used to.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny you mentioned the drums, because I think of all instruments, that's probably the best instrument to get your frustrations out on.
It is. It is. I can tell you it is. I came home a couple nights, couple bloody fingers, because you see this snare sitting in front of you, and it's like a golf ball. If you ever play golf, you get up to the golf ball, and that the theory of playing golf is to swing easy and follow through, but you just want to kill that golf ball.
I'm like Happy Gilmore, man. It's funny, for the radio station, they'll ask me to do these golf tournaments, and I do ask them, I'm like, can I bring my hockey stick? Because I hate golf.
Well, but what it's like. You got to have that, it's all these mechanics, and you swing it, and it's same thing with drums. But, you see this snare head sitting in front of you, and, instead of playing like this, you're bringing your hand all the way up and coming all the way down. And
I can relate, because, so when I was a kid, I played drums for 9 years. I still sucked, but, part of that was, for me, I didn't want to just do I wanted to bang the hell out of those drums. It was like the driving force of being a drummer to me.
Well, and and that's not even good, because
that's why I never became good.
Well, listen, I'm not that great of a drummer either, to be honest with you, because I just want to hit things hard. But obviously you read articles and sound, and you don't want to hit it too hard, because there's a lot that goes in that too. But there's just sometimes that you just like, what, I'm gonna beat the hell out of you whether you like it or not.
No
you
doubt.
Just take it out on your kit,
right? It's kind of like too, like, I was a big Ringo Starr fan when I was a kid, and he always played with the brushes, so I had to have these brushes. I told my dad, I need these brushes, and then I get them. I'm like, man, this is no fun. Give me the sticks back.
Yeah, it's boring.
Right?
But such a what a wonderful, great drummer, though. That's the problem. I mean, you see,
I know, right?
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Amazing. So, what else do we want to tell the listeners to look out for this album?
The album's out, but the way So we teamed up with DEKO Entertainment. We're on that label. And if you go to DEKO Entertainment, and then / Red Rain Band, you can get the album there, CD there. There's some merchandise there as well. And if you want just to stream, we're on every streaming site. So we're on Apple, we're on Google Music, every downloadable site. I don't know all of them. So Amazon, Spotify. So, and there's ways that you can and if you just want to go on Facebook and find Red Rain, and it's REIGN as you have on there on your backdrop. It's Red Rain Band on Facebook, all the social media, and our website is redrainband.com. So through all those outlets, you'll be able to find the music as well.
Beautiful. Is there anything else you want to let the listeners know that we haven't covered yet that they need to know that's going on with you guys?
Well, so we just actually got off tour. We just we were on tour with Nazareth for
nice
10 days, yeah. And we just got off the road last week. So it's decompression time because it was grueling. I mean, we were here. It wasn't city. It's here, and then you go all the way over here and then back here. So it was a great tour. It was fun. We ended up in Chicago, Illinois, which was great. We were very excited about that, and then we drove home. So usually after something like that, we've been on a couple of those. We usually take a week, maybe 2 weeks to decompress, and then we get right back at it. So we're working on shows that we usually announce on our social media when it's time. So that's the next move.
How was it going on tour with Nazareth? Because that must be like an oh wow moment.
It really is. I'll be honest. We've been lucky. Our very first tour was with Tesla.
Wow.
Back in 2000, and that's a wow moment too, because I just remember years ago you turn on MTV and Tesla was everywhere, and you're like, oh man, this is great, this is cool, that's what I want to do. And then a blink of an eye, and you're standing on stage, setting up your kit, and Troy Laketta walks over and goes, hey, nice drum kit, I'm Troy. And you're like, this is like surreal,
right?
It's just unbelievable. And we've done with other bands as well. I mean, I don't want to be a name dropper, but I'll give you a couple just so you know. But we've been out with Dokken and Jackal and Winger and Slaughter and Y&T. We've been out with all these bands, and they're all great. Everybody's equal. But when you go with an iconic band like Nazareth, who has probably one of the greatest, I'd say, love songs or melodic songs, and Love Hurts and Hair of the Dog, which everybody knows. I mean, that's I don't even know if I have words to describe it. It's iconic is what I think is probably the best word. And it's and what makes it even better, and for a lot of the bands that we play with, is they're all just nice guys, and they don't treat you, they don't talk down to you, they don't treat you, and it's just it's a great feeling. And Nazareth was very welcoming from day one as well. So
that's very cool.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that, because I find that too. Like, it's the iconic bands that have no clue that they're icons, and they're just the nicest people in the world.
Yeah. And, and I've read articles. I just read a little bit, and everybody's like, it's not the real Nazareth. It's not this. Well, you know what? You say what you want, but they're touring under that name, and there is an original member, and the other guys have been in the band for years. But you know what? To me, it's Nazareth, because they sounded like Nazareth. I mean, Carl, the lead singer, I mean, when they opened with Miss Misery, which is probably one of my favorite songs from Nazareth, it sounds like Nazareth,
Yeah. I hate when people do that too.
Yeah,
they do that with a lot of bands.
Yeah. And I will tell you, I am, I have a fine line between that, because my favorite band, I want the original members,
Right.
So, I'm a Van Halen fan, so I want to see the original Van Halen, which we now know isn't going to happen again. But, so I get that part of it, but when you have members who unfortunately aren't here anymore, and you do have members that want to carry on that, I get it. I understand that. And the music's the same.
Yeah.
So
now here's what trips me out. I interviewed once the Grassroots,
Mm-hmm.
and none of them were the original members.
Really?
So, like, at least if you have one original member, I'm down with that because it's an original member. Okay.
Right. You get that at least.
Exactly. And they can make it, like you said, it sounded like Nazareth. You know, you mentioned Van Halen. To me, Van Hagar and Van Halen are like two completely different bands, you know? And
absolutely.
It's one of the few that has succeeded by doing it that way. You take Iron Maiden, well, Bruce didn't sound that different from Di'Anno in the beginning. So it, you know, and I'm a Paul Di'Anno fan. And say with AC/DC, how do you find somebody that's close to Bon Scott? And you did it with Brian Johnson, but still, I'm on Team Bon Scott, but it doesn't mean I don't like Team Brian Johnson either. So, you know, you like both, but at least it has that familiarity to it, you know, which is what you're saying about what happened with Nazareth.
Well, yeah. And I mean, but they were, it's, sometimes you get some of these bands that get like a new lead singer and it doesn't really sound like the old singer. And I get it, not everybody. And I get that, but the music's the same and it's changed. But I mean, I listened to Nazareth and it sounded point on Nazareth.
Nice.
And, that's even better. I mean, but listen, man, everybody's just trying to go out there and play some music, which is awesome. And I think that's the greatest thing in the world but as well as I do, everything's subjective when it comes to music. You know what I mean?
100%.
And what I like, you're not going to like, and so on and so on. And that's the great thing about music. We can have a debate about that. So.
Absolutely. 100%. And your music is badass. So everybody that has to check you out, has to get the new album, check out future tour dates, buy your merch, all that good stuff. And, thanks for giving us great music. And thanks for being on the Adventures of Pipeman.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, and thanks for helping us spread the word of the band. We need all the help we can get, like everybody else, and I can't thank you enough.
Hey, my pleasure. Anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.